Welcome everyone. Today we're joined by Michael Lang, Managing Director of SG Partners. First of all, Michael, thank you very much for spending some time with us today.
My pleasure, Martin. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, great. Hey, Michael, I've thoroughly enjoyed our liaison over the past few months. We connected and we talked about everything from business, life, and also the things that we're doing with regards to SG Partners and stratapp. And so, Michael, you have become a partner of stratapp over that period. We've built a really trusted relationship, and I'd just love you to give the audience an introduction of your organisation and you as well.
Thank you very much, Martin. SG Partners, we're a leadership and sales effectiveness improvement group. So everything we do is to help people be even better versions of themselves. To do that, they need to be self-aware of the barriers that are stopping to attain whatever goals they're looking to achieve, and work through changing those barriers, those mindsets, and looking to improve the skill sets around how they engage with other human beings. So our tagline is, we give a shift. And everything that we do for companies is about how do we enrich their lives, both professionally and personally. Been doing it for 11 years. Love it when we see people change and give great feedback of how they've been able to be even more effective leaders, how they've been able to be more effective sales leaders, salespeople, and have a better relationship personally.
Fantastic, Michael. And I have to admit, since you and I first met, you've absolutely enriched my life. We actually do connect on many fronts, but you actually constantly are getting me thinking about things, about myself, about what we're doing in the business and how we can absolutely move it forward. So thank you very much for that as well.
My pleasure, Martin. And the interesting thing is, whenever you're helping someone else, well, when I'm helping someone else, there's always a mirror in front of me. So I get a chance to refresh and reflect myself.
Fantastic. So let's talk about the business side for a minute. So what are the challenges that you're seeing that organizations are facing today, given our absolutely changing environment?
So when I look at organizations, I look at the emotions that are going on in the organization, which comes from the leadership. So I see two different types of leaders. Those leaders that are actually doing really well because they already did the hard work pre-COVID. Mm-hmm. So they already did the hard work in ensuring their organizations were adaptable and agile. They had the systems and processes in place that allowed them to say, okay, this is just a scenario that we just have to deal with. How are we engaging with our clients? How are we engaging internally? What systems and processes do we have in place? And then just constantly saying, well, we've got it, let's just keep tweaking it. So they're companies that I'm hearing are doing quite well. The flip side is where we're hearing about leaders who just don't have clarity about where they are and where they should be. And without that clarity, how do they get their people on board? How do they review? How do they deal with all the emotions internally and externally? So that's where I'm seeing organizations at present.
Yeah, and that's I love that, because you talked pre and post, which I think is really important. And it's not too late for the people that weren't as organized pre, but they need to get incredibly organized now so they can move and scale their organizations up. I sort of get the conversation about stratapp. We've been a remote business from day one. We've actually got systems in place, which is stratapp, that allows us to have the plan. The plan hasn't changed. The plan has just accelerated through this period, but it was so clear that we just got focused on the things that we had to do incrementally through a very challenging period. So I love the way that you're looking at it. So let's talk about organizations. And you've got so much experience within your own organization and everyone you actually are working with. Where do you see the most value in organizations adopting stratapp?
So I look at the Rockefeller habits, and if you look at one of the aspects of Rockefeller habits is the 3x3. So the business leader has the 3 core focuses they're looking at rolling out within a quarter, let's say. So here's the 3 things I want to roll out. Now I should be able to go into that organization all the way down to the shop floor and ask, let's say, a warehouse person, what are the 3 things that you're focused on this quarter? And they should relate. They won't be identical, but they should relate to the leader's 3 things. Mm-hmm. So clarity is everything. And the organizations that come up with strategy and then 12 months later they say, well, we really didn't achieve that, how well did they communicate that strategy? How well did they get everyone enrolled into that strategy? And it comes down to how well you articulate it time and time and time again, and how well you communicate and how well people are able to be involved. So I find stratapp as a tool is the clarity of communication and the enrollment and then the involvement. And the involvement's around the communication. So for instance, if you look at organizations that I deal with, they've got a sales silo, they've got a finance silo, they've got a manufacturing silo, a service silo, and a marketing silo. And they're forever most of the silos are complaining about sales, and then the sales silo is complaining about individual silos. So a great example is marketing and sales. And there's been this great conversation over the years. Is it the same? Should it be the same? How do they get aligned? Typically, you find a sales team, find out the last minute, according to the sales team, that marketing have this strategy, they're going to market, and the marketing are wondering why all their efforts aren't taking effect. And the sales team says, well, now you're telling me what to do, but I've got other plans to do. So we're getting these two silos that aren't aligned. How do you stop that? Well, from the concept idea of how to get people enrolled. Yeah. So for instance, right now I'm building a marketing strategy for the next 3 months, and I've got an external advisor to help me do that. And we're using stratapp as a place to communicate, to create the events that have to happen along the way, and all the tactics and all the tick-offs that we have to make sure we're moving forward. So we're using it as a repository for the main document, which is constantly being retweaked. And we're using it as a day-to-day communication tool as well. So it's a one-stop shop to say, here's where we are, here's where we want to go. Now, how do we keep moving forward, and how do we keep communicating along that journey?
Yeah, I love it, because one of the when we sort of, Ash and I got together about stratapp, one of the embryo elements of it was, how do we actually collaborate? Well, how do we actually align? How do we prioritize? And then how do we get the intellectual IP of client meetings, marketing plans, bringing the solution consultants along, bringing the implementation team along. And that is all done in multiple different systems today. And that's done universal across the globe. We now can deliver that in one seamless place. So all of those cross-functional groups can understand what the plan is and go along with that journey seamlessly. And guess what? They can share information, they can collaborate real time, and they can actually continue to move that client journey forward. And there's no going back to understand what happened. Everyone can just simply look forward. So I absolutely love that. Highly passionate about that as well. So, we're partners, and we're growing our partnership as well, which I'm really excited about. So how do you see stratapp helping your clients grow and scale their businesses?
So with the clients that we engage with, big, small, or very large, what we're going to do is say, okay, well, how do you articulate your strategy, and how do you get that articulation going through your whole organization? So that will be the first part, where we say, what's the platform of that sharing? Mm-hmm. And then how do you articulate all the events or all the tasks that need to be done by the various groups? And then how do you want them communicating? So that's how we're going to introduce it into our clients. It's not going to be for everyone, because it comes down to leadership wanting to be involved. If the leadership's not involved, just like our programs, then the success rate is going to be very minimal. So it's about the CEO or the MD or the general manager saying, look, I've got a really burning platform. I keep doing what I've always done. I've got to get a different outcome. I said, look, I just happen to have some experience with a great platform myself. Why don't we use it for one of the projects that we're doing? So I've got a client right now. They asked me to do a project with them, and they were communicating with me via email consistently. We're also using the Teams environment. And sometimes I really didn't know what version of the document and who was doing what. So they've now asked me to come and do a project, and I actually want to use stratapp for that project and invite them to come in on stratapp. Now, I'm hoping that they'll get a great experience from that and then say, look, tell me more about this. Mm-hmm. Every company has projects, whether they define it as a project or not, but the various nature of companies growing is they must have problems.
Mhm.
It's how do you deal with those problems, and how do you build up a pattern of dealing with it so you can then preempt some problems, say, well, we did this last time, let's overlay that. So I think stratapp has a real powerful tool, not only for dealing with current projects, but for the realization is, hey, let's do what we did last time. We can go back, find out what it is, and then overlay it into the new project.
Yeah. Fantastic. It's actually not uncommon, Michael, and you actually touched on it, and I was talking to a digital marketing company yesterday, and they actually are currently working in 5, 6, 7 different systems, and they're trying to work out why they're not coordinated enough to go forward and achieve their objectives and their goals. And that is one area that you're basically highlighting, is that stratapp can bring all of those. It's not systems, that's not the point. It's the idea of being aligned, and then the actions that go with the alignment of us achieving the things, and we can now do that in one seamless place.
And it's easier to see the flow of the communication too, Martin. Like just last night, the marketing person and I were communicating via the stratapp instead of having one email going backwards and forwards. It's just quicker, easier to get the point across, and easier to know that it's all housed in that one area. I don't have to go searching my emails.
Yes, yeah, absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Well, Michael, really enjoyed spending time with you. I can't be any more excited about our partnership. We're both local in Brisbane, Australia as well. So that is actually, to me, I'm really energetic about our global partners, but obviously extremely energetic about our local partners as well. So first of all, thank you very much for putting trust in us, and really looking forward to working with you. And I know you have a lot of contributions of how we can better not only stratapp the application and the platform, but also how we can better ourselves as individuals and an organisation as well. So thank you very much.
My pleasure, Martin. It's been great talking to you.